Hey, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. LeBron James is expected to miss at least 1 to 2 weeks, and injuries are starting to pile up for the Lakers. We'll explain next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter how, where you get your podcasts, it's always free, never behind a paywall. And of course, Andy Locked On Lakers on YouTube, where many people are watching right this very moment, is where over 33,000 subscribers can all hang out and talk to each other, talk to us. And they, Andy, are currently wondering how the Lakers are going to respond now that we know that LeBron, at least reportedly, is expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks at least. And so this news, Andy, is obviously not good, but it comes at a time when injuries are starting to pile up for the Lakers. The report for tonight's game in Brooklyn is long. Luka Doncic is questionable. Rui Hachimura is obviously still out. Dorian Finney-Smith will miss tonight's game with an ankle injury. So
and Jackson Hayes is still questionable.
Yeah, it's Jackson Hayes still questionable. So they're kind of running out of dudes, Andy. But at this point, both big picture with LeBron and big picture with the rest of the roster, you got to think about the big picture.
It's interesting. LeBron said after the game, and we recorded on the heels of the Celtics game before the media talk with LeBron. And I guess in and of itself, LeBron speaking afterwards is a good sign, just because typically, if players get injured, it's often they're out from talking post game anyway. But then if something is bad, then they usually really opt out. One of the rare exceptions being when Kobe spoke right after tearing his Achilles. But for the most part, players will take any opportunity they can not to talk if it's a freebie by the team or by the league, and then especially if it's on the heels of an injury. So LeBron talking is hopefully something optimistic. He said he does not think this is in the same category of severity as when he hurt his groin in his first season with the Lakers in that Christmas game against the Warriors that cost him several weeks. He said, quote, "No, it's not as bad as that. It's not as bad as that." Then knocked on wood by his locker. And then he said, "I've been there before and I know what type of injury we're dealing with." And what's interesting to me is, on one hand, it's great, obviously, that in LeBron's eyes, and I guess so far what we're hearing, the injury is not as expected to be as severe as before. But the flip side is LeBron's body is 7 years older than that injury and with a lot more mileage than with that injury. And, he knows his body certainly better than my intuitions, but it's just a reason why I think it makes very pragmatic sense to maintain grounded expectations within the organization, among the fans, be happy if it's a pleasant surprise. And for the time being, I am preparing for LeBron to be out at least 2 weeks, more than happy to be overshooting that by half a week or more.
A couple days, whatever it is. I mean, look, I think there is a reason they put, at least in, however the information gets out and, whoever is responsible for leaking it, there's a reason at least is in that parentheticals, because you don't know for sure. And nobody is going to, is going to push LeBron to get back, especially now. Look, I understand it's pretty cool. Lakers, Denver loses on Sunday. The Lakers are mathematically back in that 2 seed. And like, it's a great thing to be the second seed in the West, set yourself up for hosting a potential series against Denver. There's nothing to dislike about being in the number 2, but you can't push LeBron back over something like that. The only thing that I think truly matters is staying out of the play-in, staying from somewhere in the top 6. 2 is better than 3, 3 is better than 4, 4 is better than 5, 5 is better than 6. The only thing that matters is don't be 7. And if the Lakers can do that, then they should be okay, I think, going into the playoffs because, Luka Doncic, LeBron James are not going to be scared playing on anybody's home floor in a potential game 7. I do not worry about that in the slightest. So,
I mean, honestly, every single game 7 the Lakers ever play, they're going to have a fair amount of Laker fans there regardless. Like it's
probably even in a playoff.
I mean, other than like Boston, somewhere like that for game 7, it is really difficult for the Lakers to not get a solid contingency.
At least somewhat. Yeah. I mean, like a good group. Yeah.
Right.
Do want to let people know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. But like, I look at it this way. You talked about like, if you're, 2 weeks at the minimum, if you're wrong, he comes back earlier. That's great. I basically say like, it's probably the 2 weeks. I would add a third. Like reasonable expectations would be at a third. And, for Lakers fans that are really concerned about this, obviously the more this group plays together, the better. And we'll get into Luka playing tonight and, Rui's not back and the injury is starting to pile up. That is a factor in all of this. You're not just looking at LeBron in a vacuum. You're looking at the whole thing right now. And, injuries are starting to pile up. As long as he's back before the playoffs, it's fine. And when they went to the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago, LeBron missed a lot of March. So they've done this before, and LeBron has done this before. And if there's any player in the league, Andy, that does not need a 3-week ramp up to get ready for the playoffs, it's LeBron.
Well, he might need a 3-week or a couple week ramp up for the playoffs just to get his body completely back to where he wants it to be, timing, all that stuff. What I am confident about, though,
but he doesn't need it mentally. He doesn't need, like, the man knows the,
okay. I mean,
he knows the deal. He's been there before many times. And assuming his body is right, then he's going to be fine. And that's basically what I'm getting at.
Sure. No argument there on the mental side. I'm just saying the physical piece of
it. Whatever time he needs to get ready is what time he needs to get ready.
Right.
What I'm saying is, I'm saying that with the assumption that when the playoffs come around, he's good to go. And if it takes him, if he's got it, whatever the time period to get to good to go is that's what he needs. It doesn't need to be anything longer than that.
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying the ramp up period, depending on how long he's out, could theoretically bleed into the playoffs themselves, which is not ideal, even for somebody like LeBron to actually be getting yourself back into that, that physical space while you're playing, game 2 of the opening round of the playoffs. Like that's not ideal. I'm not saying it's a deal breaker. And if anybody can figure it out, it is LeBron, but that's a challenge even for someone like LeBron. But what I was going to say, though, is to me, what I'm not worried about, though, as much as you obviously want LeBron and Luka to get as many reps as possible together before the playoffs, that they've gelled so quickly and it's been so seamless between the two of them. Like even the early period where Luka was clearly figuring out a lot of stuff, getting himself physically and mentally into the right space. The stuff between LeBron and Luka, that's never been a problem at all. Largely because I think LeBron just figured out early on, and JJ and everybody, the way to make this work is concede a lot of space to Luka.
Give Luka the ball, and I get to run around and do all kinds of other stuff, make my life easier.
Right. That piece of it is, because I've, in listening to other shows and just coverage of the situation in general,
other shows.
I mean, I throw them token listens, but like I've seen that concern come up and I understand where it comes from. That's just not one of the things that I'm worried about. I think there are other things with LeBron and how the entire picture comes together that can be affected by LeBron's absence. I just, for what it's worth, I'm not particularly worried about Luka and LeBron not getting the reps because they've already looked so good together as it is.
Yeah, and two extremely seasoned playoff competitors, playoff stars who understand how to close and all that kind of stuff. There is actually, I think, though, in terms of the lineup, we'll get into some of these other injuries, Luka himself, part of this injury report heading into tonight's game. Obviously, you could see the bad back and the impact it was having on him during the Boston game. So we'll talk about that, but I think there is an opportunity here in terms of getting guys on the same page. It's not between LeBron and Luka, but the Lakers do have an opportunity here with Luka and Austin Reeves, and we'll get into that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready because when they swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's really simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. So after an epic 50-point performance, you can celebrate with some wings or pizza or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. You can also get a little lunch on the go. With Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees, also reduced service fees. And now, again, you save even more with the exclusive offer. So sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. Again, 50 or more from any player in a game. Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight. After that 50-game performance on eligible orders from participating merchants, you must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more.
Reminder, folks, sign up for the Locked On Lakers newsletter. You go to lockedondaily.com, then you click on Locked On Lakers and you get the show delivered to you every day. Obviously, you can also have that downloaded to your podcast app if you subscribe through iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or whatever it's called now, and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. But the newsletter brings you more than that. It brings you analysis both from us and from across the network. Great way to keep up on what's going around the NBA. Again, lockedondaily.com. Click on Locked On Lakers. We certainly appreciate your doing that. So I agree with you. LeBron and Luka, I think, have figured this out pretty quick. And I think you're right. LeBron has figured out, give the ball to Luka. I still, it's not like LeBron is never on the ball anymore. But for the, when they're together, Luka is the primary initiator of the offense. And LeBron, I think, is enjoying how he can put pressure on the opposition in different ways. I disagree a little bit. I mean, I think the offense has not been so smooth. Like, you want everybody on the floor, and there's a lot of improvement that can be made.
Well, I didn't say the offense has been smooth, and I didn't say that you don't want guys on the floor together. I just said I'm not specifically worried about LeBron and Luka, how they're working off each other.
That, those are, when one of those guys is missing, that impacts how everybody.
There's plenty of other stuff to be concerned about. Just that one.
Literally, LeBron and Luka working together. Sure, I agree with you. But in terms of the context of how the offense operates, the play calling, the execution, all that stuff. LeBron missing 2 to 3 weeks can have a significant impact on how much they can acclimate. But it does give an opportunity for Reeves to, I think, build a little bit of a rapport with Luka. Again, contextually, not what it's going to be when LeBron gets back, which, cuts into a little bit of the benefit. But I think that's been the harder adjustment. LeBron and Luka, it seems that's gone on pretty easy. Luka and Reeves together, I think, has been a little trickier. And so at the very least, with LeBron out, this gives the two of them an opportunity to develop a little bit more chemistry that can hopefully carry further into when LeBron returns. Because say what you will about LeBron, the guy, can figure out how to fit into any basketball situation. Like, that has never been an issue with James. So I am looking forward to seeing Reeves and Luka kind of build something in this 3-week stretch.
Well, it didn't help that Austin missed a few games with a calf injury of his own. And then the last couple games, Austin has looked to me like he is still getting himself back physically. He's getting back some of his timing. Like, I thought he looked better against Boston than he did against New York. New York, he honestly looked pretty terrible. But it's understandable with the time that he had missed. But either way, it would be good for those guys to build a little more synergy. The more they're in sync, the more it gives JJ different options, even when LeBron is back, in terms of just how you can go those minutes without LeBron on the floor. The more that those two also play well together, the less pressure there is on. I mean, I think at this stage of his career and at this age with the mileage or whatever, there's only so much LeBron can feel pressured to come back anyway. Like, he does not have the luxury of rushing himself. Like, first of all, you've seen in Dallas what happened with AD, who clearly rushed himself back, and that was a disaster. But LeBron at this stage of his career, he's got to be ready when he gets back, but it will be easier for everybody else too. Like, for the guys around Luka, assuming he plays, we'll talk about this, assuming he plays against the Nets, but certainly for the next couple weeks, nobody's expecting Luka to miss significant time because of this back injury. He may miss none, but the more Luka and Reeves succeed together, the more synergy they create for each other and for the offense, it means the better the Lakers play, and the better the Lakers play, the less pressure everybody around Austin and Luka feel to try to do too much. And when everybody starts trying to do too much, that's when you often play worse.
The situation with Luka is interesting. This is the game on the trip where you look at it. Lakers go from here Thursday night, they play Milwaukee, and then Friday it's Denver again. Brooklyn, Cam Thomas not going to play. They're not trying terribly hard to win games. They are managing to lose a lot of them. But, if you're missing LeBron and Rui, Jackson Hayes is questionable.
DFS is out.
DFS is out. Like, you're starting to run out of guys. You could lose this game. Like, there's no question. Especially if Luka doesn't play. Same kind of deal. Like, the Lakers, they have the value of this cushion that they've built is exactly for the situation that they are in right now. It is not to the preservation of the seed, although that's really cool. It is to give themselves every ounce of space that they can possibly get to make sure that the team is healthy going into the playoffs. That is what matters. They don't need to play for specific matchups. They need to stay out of the 7 seed and be as healthy as possible. And you cannot, even if it means losing the Brooklyn game, how I am. I'm usually like, go make sure you win these games at like the winniest game on the schedule, like of a tough trip or tough stretch. Go make sure you win that one, because you could lose the other ones anyway. I'm not saying that about this one. If Luka is questionable, like meaning like really like gets on the floor, he's kind of questionable as to whether or not I should be here, there is no question. Sit down.
Luka, for those who didn't realize it, was dealing with this back issue. They're labeling it back soreness. That's what it's being officially designated by the Lakers. It was bothering him during his warmups. Like, this wasn't.
Yeah, you can see he looked like me when I got out of bed in the morning.
Right. Like, this wasn't something that just happened over the course of the game, like he tweaked it weird or something like that. This was something that he arrived in TD in Boston dealing with. So it sucks, the idea of one of the games that was pretty much written in pen, Brooklyn, like, this is one of the ones you not only can win, you should win. You're banking on it to be one of those wins that's just, keeps that separation between you and Denver, stuff like that. But when you know that you are in all likelihood going to be without, at minimum, LeBron and Rui for the next week to 2 weeks, hopefully just that, you cannot.
Rui is not going to play between now and Friday. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Rui's not even being reevaluated for another
until
week.
Next week.
So
right. Yeah.
You cannot chance the idea of being a couple weeks without LeBron, Rui, and Luka. And if that means you go into Brooklyn and it's basically Austin Reeves and Vando and Dalton Connect putting up 18 shots and Shake Milton getting 25 minutes and, Trey Jemison just knocking dudes around. Like, this is the thing you have to do. Like, this is similar to when in Philadelphia in January, JJ Redick played Bronny early minutes, and there were a lot of people coming up with conspiracy theories like LeBron and Clutch were pressuring JJ to do this. And we had actually told people before that game, be prepared for Bronny to play because Gabe was hurt. At the time, Jalen Hood-Schifino was on the team. He was hurt. Quincy Oliveri was hurt. Shake Milton had been really struggling. Cam Reddish was in the dog. Like, everybody else was either hurt or struggling badly. We said, don't be surprised if Bronny plays. Why? Because you got to throw dudes out there in times of emergency. And for this situation, for the sake of the bigger picture, you may have to play some guys more extended minutes than you're comfortable with, than the results would be positive. You may just have to get through it. And if it means losing a game to Brooklyn, which really sucks, you may have to do it anyway.
Yeah. Just to kind of close up this portion of the conversation, I mentioned the Reeves Luka pairing. Was looking it up. They're a plus 2.3 in terms of differential when those two guys are on the floor together. Obviously, there is some overlap here with LeBron, and it's a relatively small sample size, smaller than normal, than even the LeBron Luka sample because of the games that Reeves missed. LeBron and Luka together almost twice as good as that at close to 5 as a point differential. Just kind of that shorthand to give you an idea of how the combinations are working together. That said, there are some comforting numbers. If it's just got to be whether it starts Thursday or starts tomorrow, like, all right, Luka's in charge. There are some comforting numbers, and I actually think one more thing that could play really well for the Lakers when LeBron comes back. We'll get to it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 in extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, or just rooting on your alma mater, the school that your family has been attending and rooting for generation after generation, and hopefully the team you see cutting down the nets. You can stay in the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. Plus, it's really fast and easy. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com. Get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
So the Lakers have been really good when Luka plays. I think, the eye test, Andy says that good things have been generally happening when Luka's on the floor, and the numbers tend to back that up. Only 11 games, obviously not a season's worth of minutes, but that said, his net rating with the Lakers is hovering right around 10. So Lakers being 10 points better in terms of offensive versus defensive offensive and defensive rating when Luka plays. What I think is helpful here is that this, we'll call it, is it a 6-game absence, an 8-game absence, a 10-game? I don't know. Whatever the number
for
turns
LeBron.
out.
If LeBron missed 2 weeks, like, I'm just letting you know, if he ended up missing 2 weeks on the nose, he would miss 8 games.
Right. And so I was saying before, like, I think it's 2, probably. If he misses 2 full weeks, you add a third just to be safe, or half of a third. So, I mean, you're looking at anywhere between 6 games. If it's, hey, it turns out it's not such a big deal, bounces back real fast, be the first 40-year-old in, world history to bounce back quickly from a groin injury, but he does a lot of amazing things. If it's 2 weeks, like you say, it's 8 games. If it's a little bit more than that, you're looking at like 10-ish. That's a lot of time for Luka to really put, you figure Rui comes back somewhere halfway in there, hopefully. That's a lot of time for Luka to really put his stamp and really get comfortable being the front man of this team. And the Lakers have said when they traded for him that this becomes Luka Doncic's team. The coaching staff has said things are going to run through him and all that stuff. And I don't think Luka is really, since that was maybe that first game or two when he was just getting his sea legs back, I don't really think he's been terribly deferential to LeBron.
No.
But
no,
it's still LeBron James that you're playing with. And I think having a stretch of time where LeBron isn't there and your team is very dependent on you will really fully settle him into this space of being the front man on this team. And I don't worry about LeBron coming in and, having to have a readjustment to that thing. Luka's still in that adjustment period as a human to, post trade, getting used to LA. He doesn't have a house. He doesn't none of this. It's very unsettled. So this, I think, could help that. I think this can get him settled in. The Lakers are going to lose some games that they might have otherwise won. But broadly, I think the impact on Luka, assuming the Lakers allow him to get healthy, or if he even needs to get healthy, I think this could be kind of a positive for him. And, again, LeBron, as long as his body is right, is going to be fine for the playoffs.
It's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, I hadn't thought about it that way before, just because, as you said, LeBron has been so accommodating in helping Luka adjust, and Luka, quite frankly, hasn't been shy about putting himself on the ball. And I don't mean that as a backhanded criticism or anything like that. He's supposed to be on the ball. He's the guy that both LeBron and JJ said is going to be the primary ball handler. He's going to have the highest usage. All of that is by design. I'm just saying he has not looked the slightest bit uncomfortable with it. And I'm including game one. And again, that is a good thing. But that idea of meshing himself with the team, with the franchise, from a pure identity and kind of finger quotes, the face standpoint, that's an interesting way of looking at it that I hadn't thought about before.
Because you would agree, and I think, we certainly, all the people who have kind of migrated over from watching Luka with the Mavs, the one through line that we keep getting is even Luka's good games are not like Luka's good games. We have not seen in the 11 games with the Lakers peak Luka Doncic, not for sustained stretches, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row, the MVP level guy. He's still been pretty effing good, for the most part. I think, we can, if we can get to see that, if he can get himself back into that space by really, truly taking over what they're doing, aside from, learning the two-man game a little bit better with Reeves, if that can help him get back to a more dominant place before the playoffs come, again, another potential benefit for the Lakers. None of this is good and none of this is optimal. I'm just saying that there are potential goods that can come out of it. And that's where the Lakers are. You have to find the things that you can do to turn this into as positive as possible. And some of that is, hey, it's kind of nice LeBron could get 3 weeks of rest,
I see. March. Okay. That I don't buy. I have never bought that line of thought, because your body goes through trauma. 2 to 3 weeks would be LeBron going to Cancun and chilling. The idea that LeBron somehow becomes more refreshed or rested, and a lot of people run with that narrative. I don't. He
came back rested and refreshed earlier this year when he missed a couple games with the foot.
But
he came back with a lot more energy and a lot more bounce. He was banged up. He sat down. He got better, and he played with more energy. He got more energy, more bounce, and whatever he did.
I think an injury.
If he's got a brutal injury that keeps him out for 5 or 6 weeks, then we're talking about something completely different anyway. If it really is a hamstring strain or a groin strain that can heal that allows him to, maintain his body reasonably well and all that kind of stuff, then he is off of his feet and not getting the abuse and all that kind of stuff. And there's, I think, a little bit of silver lining of less wear, more rest.
We'll see. I just don't buy that for an injury like this, that came through specific trauma that's been recurrent for him. We'll see. I've never particularly bought into that. I think the rest, LeBron was definitely refreshed, and he was going to get some of that anyway with the weird schedule. He's going to get some of this with the weird schedule regardless. It only required him to miss 2 weeks, and it seemed to me more like it was just soreness as opposed to like more of a traumatic injury. We'll see. Again, this is a line of thought with players in general, particularly with lower extremity injuries, that I've just never bought into, because I think there's a price that gets paid on your body. It's similar like when Andrew Bynum missed like 5 months because he had a subluxation, his kneecap basically.
But there's a big difference between being out of the game and out of rhythm and off your leg, and you can't rehab and you can't do other stuff for 5 months than there is for, whatever it is, 3 or 4 days or 5 days a week of therapy, and you start building back up from there. That's not the same injury. Like, again,
I know it's not the same injury. It's not all the same degrees.
But this is under the assumption that LeBron is, if the timeline that they were even willing, that people have been willing to even discuss, is a week to 2 weeks, and then maybe more, but like you're willing to even put a 1 in front of your 2, then definitionally this isn't, it seems, until more information.
No, it's obviously not as severe as
that kind of devastating traumatic thing. So when you got to be off your feet like Luka was from Christmas until whatever, and you can't exercise for the first half of that, that's a different deal. This isn't.
It might be a different deal, but nobody said Luka was refreshed because he had 6 weeks off. That's my point.
But it's also not the same. This is whatever.
I just don't buy that logic, period. But anyway, the side note, people can agree, disagree, leave your comments. I'm not a doctor anyway. I just don't buy that line of thought. I do think, though, and if we're looking for, if not silver linings, I don't know, aluminum linings, there are opportunities. Well, silver's more valuable than aluminum.
No, I know what you're getting at. No, for aluminum is still good, but not very useful.
Lead linings. There could be opportunities that would be valuable for guys like Dalton Connect to, he's averaging like 7 shots a game this season. Depending on how long LeBron is out.
More of those tonight.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And like, that would be really good for Dalton. If, say, Luka ends up sitting tonight, and we know we're not going to have LeBron, we know we're not going to have Rui, you're not going to have Dorian Finney-Smith, Jackson Hayes maybe plays, maybe doesn't. Like, this could be an opportunity for Dalton Connect to get 15, 16, maybe more shots. That would be really good for him. It could be an opportunity for someone like Jordan Goodwin, A, to keep building confidence, B, to make up for the mother of all bad turnovers against Boston. One of the strangest plays I've ever, for those who don't know what I'm referencing, there was a sequence where, and Jordan, just to be clear, Jordan has been terrific as a two-way.
He goes and he catches it instantly, throws it back. He looks like he's passing backwards to the referee.
Except it was he basically intercepted a pass to Austin Reeves from LeBron. Like, he intercepted a pass to someone else. I think it was
wrong place, wrong time, and he threw it to someone he expected to be there who clearly wasn't. Probably because it was probably him who was supposed to be in that location. But it was not a good play.
But like, Jordan can keep making good on what he's done for this season, maybe get a few more minutes that really matter. Shake Milton can, rise up with, there was I don't remember which one, but a couple games ago, Shake ended up getting some extended minutes and played pretty well in them. Like, there are opportunities for other guys to potentially gain some confidence and show what they can do. And you never know if you have to go back into that well down the road. And it would be good if those guys have positive experiences with extended minutes.
All right, so we'll see what happens tonight especially with Luka, Jackson Hayes as well. Lakers do need to get him back on the floor. But both of those guys, if they're questionable tonight, you would think that an extra day of rest in that sort of every other day pattern that it usually is. Lakers don't play again until Thursday. So it could be a real hodgepodge lineup tonight in Brooklyn. It will be probably either way, but especially if Hayes and Luka are not available. But looking down the road, hopefully both of those guys at least back on Thursday, and maybe Rui starting looking next week like he might be able to come back. So we'll see, knock on wood. Anyway, Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 33,000 subscribers to the channel. Andy and I will be back after the game. We will see everyone then.